or Tennessee or New York. They'll go, I want that waiver. They'll go, there's no waiver. Yes, there is. No, there's not. It's a criminal enterprise everywhere with all these people just trained to lie, trained to engage in massive, sustained, continual fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, you can go to Google right now and type in vaccine exemption form Kentucky, vaccine exemption form Ohio, vaccine exemption form Nebraska, vaccine exemption form Texas, and it will pop up the state health department with the form that they, all you got to do is fill it out, mail it in, and then show the school you have it if you want to comply. My kids have gone to private school. They bring all this stuff up. I just show them the waiver. Then I show them the code. There is no law. And they go, you're right. I don't vaccinate my kids. Nurses, when I had 3 kids in the hospital, tried to push it. And later they go, oh, I listen to your show. I don't give my kids it either. I got sick from vaccines here years ago. There it is. Texas Vaccine Exemption Program, vaccineinfo.net. I mean, this is how they play the ignorance game. In this one microcosm of vaccines, if you know this microcosm is a Rosetta Stone, you know everything. Because it shows how ignorance works. Listeners hear me saying this, but the school's lying to them, and the news is saying it's the law, and the governor's saying it's the law. And they believe I'm lying, because if the media and the school are lying, well, my gosh, we have criminals in control. Well, you bet, that's what you got. When somebody is sitting there at the school nurse's office lying to your face about vaccines, I mean, it's in the news again today, mainstream news, that little girls are dead and dying in Colombia right after they get shots, and the parents are blaming it on that. Well, it's like walking outside and it's raining, you blame the rain for getting wet. What a novel idea. Or you go out in the street and a truck runs over you and you wonder why your legs are broken, and the cops show up and go, it wasn't the truck that hit you, the wind blew. They just play these mind control games, and I'm done playing them. Now joining us from London, England, Paul Joseph Watson, I guess of Scottish descent himself. And I know he's from the north of England, formerly from Sheffield. I know his view was mixed on this, because if you bring in an outside group, and it'll just be new government management, and they may be looted. But obviously the UK is a corrupt system as well, but the UK itself's already under the EU. And from what I've seen from Lord Monckton, which is a pretty powerful argument, the EU, it will be in more control of Scotland now because they're not getting out of the EU deal. So it's almost a vacuum, like a new conqueror. You pull out one group and just insert another. I want to get Paul's view on this and the big news that Scots are saying it was rigged. Paul Joseph Watson, your story's on Infowars.com. First off, what do you make of fraud? What do you think of the election?
Well, there are numerous claims coming out, Alex, in light of this voting which took place yesterday. We know before the election even took place that they were sending out polling cards to children as young as 3 years old. So there were all these people being registered to vote who weren't legally allowed to vote. Then yesterday you had police in Glasgow investigating at least 10 different cases of people who came in to vote and were told that they had already voted. They'd been crossed off the list. So obviously people were coming in to vote twice. So that's confirmed that there was vote fraud that way. Then you've got these videos, as you mentioned, which, again, you know, for the moment, they're just allegations. We don't know exactly what they show. And this is sporadic as far as we can tell. But, you know, one example, the lady's counting out the votes. She takes cards from the yes pile, puts them in the no pile. Another example, there's a bunch of yes cards, referendum cards, that are stacked on top of the no table, so they may have been counted as no votes.
And by the way, all the body language of these people is very sneaky looking. That's what my kids act like when they're doing something wrong.
And then there's another guy who's apparently filling in referendum cards. They could be something else, but they look like the referendum cards at a polling station, so why is he filling them in? So there are numerous questions swirling around this, nothing concrete, but interesting comments also from Russian election observers who are obviously not, you know, neutral. We're not claiming them as some authority. But one of Russia's top election observers, whose people were there, came out today and said that, I think the exact quote is, let me get the exact quote. According to what our observers at the polling offices tell us, there were more yes votes during the vote count. And basically he says that every violation imaginable occurred during the vote count. So that's
I want to break this down when we come back in detail from your article at Infowars.com. It's been tweeted out at Real Alex Jones and on Watson's Twitter as well. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. Silverlungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
You've heard about the essential qualities of iodine when it comes to your well-being, and you've read the opinions of top experts regarding this good member of the halogen family. Still, reports indicate that iodine is absent in sufficient amounts from the daily lives of countless people worldwide. Now, our extra-strength new nascent iodine formula is here, Survival Shield X2, leading the way into the next generation of super high-quality nascent iodine. InfoWars Life Survival Shield X2 is derived from 200-plus million-year-old salt solutions found more than 7,000 feet below the Earth's surface. The result is a unique nascent iodine that is both concentrated and free of unwanted additives, genetically modified ingredients, and completely vegan. We even pre-screen our Survival Shield X2 iodine for radiation. Pure, clean, and sourced from deep within the Earth, X2 nascent iodine is available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or call 1-888-253-3139.
A 30-day GMO-free emergency food supply for only $99 at 30dayfoodsupply.com. You can purchase Oregon Trail Foods' 1-month supply of high-quality, nutritious, and healthy emergency meals. For less than $100, these vegetarian meals are naturally high in fiber, carbs, and protein, and they're packed with oxygen absorbers in Mylar pouches. They're completely free of any artificial flavors and colorings, have a 20-year shelf life, and take up to 70% less space than number 10 cans. They even offer a gluten-free option. Oregon Trail Foods and 30dayfoodsupply.com keep prices low by buying directly from the producers in Oregon and then passing the savings to you. Purchase a 30-day, 90-serving emergency food supply for only $99 this month, and $10 ships your entire order. Visit the website at 30dayfoodsupply.com or call 541-229-0010. That's 30dayfoodsupply.com, where they make preparedness affordable. 30dayfoodsupply.com.
We all have our own idea about what being safe and secure means. The door's locked, bills are paid, you've got a job that keeps the lights on, and a home to call your own. But what happens when Mother Nature throws a curveball?
I'm telling you, take cover.
Are you prepared to live without electricity or passable roads for weeks at a time? Do you even have a plan B? If you do, are you willing to bet your life on it?
Children left with no homes.
And no one's coming to help them.
The first step towards self-reliance in the face of disaster is a visit to MyPatriotSupply.com. There you'll find the absolute best prices on storable foods, non-GMO seeds, emergency water filtration devices, and so much more. All orders over $49 qualify for free shipping in the lower 48 states. Call 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. And speak to one of our preparedness advisors today. Or visit us at MyPatriotSupply.com. Remember, before it's time to survive, it's time to prepare.
A lot of financial news coming up in the next segment after Paul leaves us. Alibaba's IPO to end U.S. dominance in technology sector, experts are saying. Meanwhile, we've got a more detailed story up on Infowars.com dealing with what exactly is happening with the ultra-rich buying gold bars as the stock market goes to all-time highs. But the Telegraph is also reporting on it. Super rich to buy Italian job-style gold bars. economic uncertainties trigger rush to buy 12.5 kilo gold bars worth as much as 300,000 pounds each, or $500,000 or so. Absolutely. Universities, governments, they're all private individuals are just buying gold at record levels. But they artificially use the paper market to hammer it. This has come out even in the New York Times, and just to keep it at the price. Well, that's a buying opportunity, because when all this paper goes down, but I don't even plug gold because the average people won't buy it unless it's racing up. I buy gold when it's going down. So unfortunately, it's been the same for a while. I haven't bought any. But as soon as it dips, I get in there and buy some. And I've built a small amount for my family, a little nest egg, as you could say, a lot of silver as well. Most of my silver I bought at $5, $6, $7. Most of my gold I bought at $300, $350, $400. Never sold any of it. Didn't sell it when it went to $2,000. Didn't sell it when it went down to $1,100. Didn't sell it when it went back up to $1,300. I just you know. And we're going to cover that. Paul Watson, continuing with you on Scotland. You would think after the British trying to take it over for 500 years and finally getting it the last few hundred and exploiting it to a great extent, the British Empire, not the British people so much, the most exploited under the empire in many respects, most happily exploited, I could also add from my historical research. I really don't buy it that they didn't vote for independence, because the polls, most polls are running, what, 5% for. What do you think really happened here?
I think they were set to get the yes vote as of a couple of weeks ago. That was the crucial point where those polls said that the yes campaign was ahead for the first time, because at that point, the elite in Westminster went into a complete tailspin. They were in an absolute panic. The three major parties aligned. They all went up to Scotland, and the propaganda was intense. They corralled the media, the BBC, most of the tabloids around this no campaign. And then you saw the polls again sway backwards. So whether there was voting fraud or not, certainly in sporadic cases, it seems that way. Also, these other election observers are saying that the polling slips in places like Edinburgh were just lying around. There was no security whatsoever. They called it last century style voting. So there were obviously some sporadic cases of it, but I think it was that propaganda in the week beforehand where the establishment rallied everything around this no campaign that kind of swung it back for them. But in terms of the long-term general picture, I mean, it's as the New York Times says, it's the crisis of the global elites. From my perspective, they were just voting for a new slave master because, Alex Salmond, the leader of the Yes campaign, the SNP party, is basically an outright socialist. He used to be a Maoist. They basically want more welfare. They would have just delivered Scotland even further into the hands of the EU. So it wouldn't really have been a positive change. It probably would have collapsed. But
well, exactly. That's why at a primitive level, knowing what happened to the Scots, I want them to get free of the UK. But the UK, for all intents and purposes, has 83% of its laws made by the EU. That's even more evil. And it's just almost didn't even matter.
Right, but you know, if you look to other places in Europe, like Murdoch said yesterday, it's an anti-establishment groundswell where there are more alternative options like UKIP, which are not going to lead the country astray to a certain extent. I mean, there are some disturbing noises coming out of UKIP recently and Farage saying we need to give up freedom for security, which is of concern. But, you know, I voted for UKIP and they seem to be really rabble-rousing in terms of upsetting the establishment. You've got Le Pen in France. There was a recent poll that said if there was a presidential election in France now, I believe the next one is in 2017, that Le Pen would defeat Hollande, who obviously is, again, another socialist who has completely wrecked France's economy. So there's this entire groundswell of separatism as well, the Basque region in Spain, Catalonia, Bavaria in Germany, Denmark, Holland, all these other places where there's a groundswell of anti-establishment separatism. Italy as well, which has been completely screwed over by the EU, by the economic collapse. And of course, it's driven by these massive high unemployment rates and this discord with the establishment, with the elite. So in terms of the general trend, even though the Yes campaign lost, I think that the outlook is positive in terms of this separatist move to get power based more locally so people can have a greater impact.
I want to come back and go over your article a little bit more. Top story on Infowars.com, Russian election observers, Westminster rigged Scottish independence vote. with Paul Joseph Watson. Then I'm going to shift gears into the economic news, Putin news with their own internet kill switch. I mean, if Obama's got one, I guess Putin needs one. And a lot more coming up. Stay with us.
We're on the march.